3 years after the divorce, she wanted me back. I said no, so she accused me of rape, but I exposed the truth in court and watched her entire world collapse. 3 years had passed since the day I walked away from my marriage with Grace, leaving behind the wreckage of a relationship that had torn me apart piece by piece. I had spent those years rebuilding not just my career and finances, but my sanity, my confidence, my identity, the very essence of who I was as a man. And just when life had settled into a quiet, fulfilling rhythm, when I thought that chapter was long dead and buried, she came back, unannounced, uninvited, standing on my porch like a ghost from a nightmare I had barely escaped. Her eyes shiny with tears, her voice breaking as she whispered, "Henry, I've changed. Please, just one more chance." But the man I had become was no longer the one who would beg for her love or chase her validation. I looked her dead in the eyes and said the one word she never expected to hear. No, that should have been the end of it. But instead, it was only the beginning of a storm that would shake my life all over again. One where she'd falsely accuse me of rape. And this time, I didn't just survive. I made sure she never recovered. Back when Grace and I first met, I was 27, full of hope and determination, still naive enough to believe that love could fix anything. She was electric, the kind of woman who lit up a room just by walking into it, and she knew it. We fell for each other fast, recklessly, passionately. Within a year, we were married, and almost immediately, that lightning turned into wildfire, destructive, uncontrollable. Grace had expectations that always lived outside my reality. She wanted lavish vacations, designer clothes, and a life where she could boast to her friends that she had a man who did it all. Meanwhile, I was working 2 jobs, trying to get my freelance business off the ground, struggling just to pay our rent and keep food on the table. But that wasn't enough for her. I wasn't enough. Every day felt like a comparison. Megan's husband just bought her a new SUV. Lisa's man booked them a cruise to the Caribbean. Why can't you be more like them? She'd say. I bit my tongue, buried my pride, and worked myself to the bone trying to catch up to her impossibly high bar. I thought that if I just pushed hard enough, she'd finally see me as enough. But the harder I worked, the colder she became. Our arguments got harsher. Her words cut deeper. The love I once felt in her touch became a void. Then one afternoon, I came home early and caught her with another man on our couch. The same couch we bought together at a thrift store during the first month of our marriage. Her eyes widened. She threw a blanket over herself. Henry, it's not what it looks like, but it was. And I said nothing. I just walked out, quietly, calmly. And the next morning I filed for divorce. The divorce was ugly, brutal, a war in a courtroom. Grace tried to bleed me dry. She wanted alimony, half of my meager savings, even my car. She painted herself as the victim, said I was cold, uncaring, emotionally absent. I fought back hard. I had to. And in the end, I walked away with my dignity intact, but little else. For 2 years, I shut out the world. No mutual friends.
No dates. No distractions.
Just work. And that focus paid off. My freelance business took off. I moved into a quiet suburban neighborhood, got a new car, started eating better, sleeping better, living better. I was finally free, finally at peace, or so I thought. Then, out of nowhere, her name lit up my phone. Grace. A simple text followed. Hey, can we talk? I didn't respond. A few days later, she showed up on my doorstep, just like that. Same eyes, same smile, but this time dimmer. She looked tired, broken, not at all like the woman who once tormented me with her superiority. Please, she whispered. I know I messed up. I was a fool, but I've changed. Give me another chance. I didn't even let her finish. No, I said. I'm not that man anymore, and I'm not going back. I shut the door without another word, feeling like I'd closed that chapter permanently. But Grace wasn't done. A week later, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Calls from friends, old coworkers, even clients. Everyone asking the same thing. Is it true? Do you have a lawyer? I had no idea what they were talking about until I saw it. A news article circulating in our town's Facebook group. Local businessman accused of sexual assault by ex-wife. My name. My face. Right there under the headline. I froze. Grace had filed a police report. Accused me of rape. Claimed I attacked her when she came over to rekindle our relationship. It was a lie so vile it made my stomach turn. I called James, my lawyer from the divorce. He answered instantly. Do not say a word to anyone, he said. Come in now. When I got to his office, James already had a stack of papers on his desk. She's claiming you assaulted her 2 nights ago. Couldn't believe what I was hearing. She showed up at my house. Asked for another chance. I said no. She left. That's it. James nodded. I believe you, but this is bigger than belief. This is about evidence now. So that's what we did. We built our case. We pulled my home security footage, clear video of her arriving, calmly talking to me on the porch, then leaving peacefully. No screaming, no struggling, no assault. Then we gathered her texts, her begging to see me, telling me she missed me, promising she just wanted to talk. But that wasn't all. Buried in an old cloud backup, I found something powerful, a voice recording from 2 years ago, one of our final fights. Her voice, cold and unapologetic. If you ever leave me, I'll ruin you. I don't care what it takes. I'll destroy you. When James heard it, he didn't smile. He just nodded and said, that's the nail in the coffin. When the court date came, Grace walked in dressed like a mourning widow. Her lawyer painted me as a sadistic ex-husband, accusing me of years of abuse, saying I couldn't let her go, that I had cornered her. It was a script straight out of a movie. But then it was our turn. James unloaded everything, the security footage, the text messages, and finally, the audio recording that made every person in that room sit in frozen silence. Grace's words echoed through the courtroom. I'll ruin you. The judge's face hardened. Her own lawyer looked like he'd swallowed glass. The charges were dismissed immediately with prejudice. And then came the final blow. James filed a defamation lawsuit. We sued her for emotional distress, financial damages, and filing a false police report. And we won. The settlement was large enough to reshape her life, and it did. She lost her job. Her family backed away. Her friends went silent. The same people who once shared that news article now shared her downfall. As for me, I used that settlement to expand my business, take a much-needed trip, and invest in my own peace. Grace thought she could tear me down again. But this time, she came after a man who had learned to fight back. And I didn't just win. I erased her from my life completely. The weeks that followed were quiet, almost unnervingly so. But for the first time in a long time, that silence wasn't laced with anxiety or dread. It was peaceful. It was earned. I would sip my morning coffee on the porch without looking over my shoulder. I no longer walked into rooms wondering who believed me and who didn't. The air felt different. Like I could breathe again without the weight of lies hanging over my head. And while the scars from that chapter remained, I learned to wear them with pride rather than shame. They weren't signs of defeat. They were proof that I survived the worst and chose myself. Grace tried to write the final chapter in my story with a lie, but I took the pen back, rewrote the ending, and made sure the truth spoke louder than any accusation ever could. Occasionally, I'd still hear whispers about her, that she'd moved to a smaller town, that she was struggling financially, that her social circle had shrunk to nothing. I never reached out, never gloated. I didn't need to. Karma doesn't need a witness. It just needs time. And as much as I had every right to hate her, I didn't. Not anymore. What I felt was something colder, indifference. The opposite of love isn't hate. It's not caring at all. And that's where I finally landed. She could spend the rest of her life trying to rewrite the past, but the damage she caused couldn't be erased. Not from my memory, not from her record, and not from the community that watched it all unfold. So now, I live my life with clarity, with strength, and with the unshakable knowledge that I survived a storm designed to break me. I'm not a victim. I'm not a monster. I'm just a man who refused to be destroyed by someone else's darkness. Grace thought she could shatter me with a lie, but I fought back with truth, and truth won. To anyone out there facing the same kind of betrayal or false accusation, remember this: you might not control the storm, but you damn sure control whether you let it drown you. And me? I didn't just learn to swim, I learned to rise. Like stories where the truth triumphs over lies? Hit that like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts below, because sometimes the best revenge is living free.